All right, good morning everyone, and welcome to the City of Edina's Arbor Day virtual celebration. Thank you all for joining me here today. I'm Luther, I'm the City Forester, and I'm here today to show you how to plant a containerized tree. First off, most important thing, safety. Before I did anything, I marked my tree location with a white stake and called 811. They come out, checked the area for utilities. There were none. They give you the little flag there, so I know that I'm good and safe to dig. And then once you have that too, you want to figure out a good spot in your yard for a tree. Make sure there's no, the water lines. You don't want to plant over those. Your electric, sewer, all that kind of stuff. You want to make sure that you're avoiding planting on top of any of those lines, because the trees, there we go, down the road, they can cause issues with the roots getting in there. And some of the older sewer lines here in the city, they can just get in there and take those apart. So that's one of the first things you want to do, is find a good spot for the tree in your yard. And then once you pick out your tree, next part is digging a hole. You want to make sure your hole is big enough to accommodate your tree. So I usually try and dig them about 2 times the width of the container that I'm planting, just to give the roots plenty of space and the nice, fresh, broken up soil to start expanding. Lots of times, these trees from the nursery, they've been sitting there for who knows how long. So the roots, once they get into their new home, they're ready to start growing out, and you just want to make sure that you loosen up that soil nicely for them, so that they have a good area to grow right into. Another important part of planting is you definitely want to make sure you don't plant too deep. And so what I do is on the tree, I look for the first woody root. And once you find that woody root, that's the level that you want to plant your tree at. So I'm going to dig my hole down until I think I'm close to that spot where I'll be deep enough that that first root will be right at the top of the ground here. So I got a little more to go. And then I'll show you a little trick on how to measure that, so you're at the proper depth for planting your tree. And then here too, as you can see, I do have some pretty nice rich black soil here, so I am going to just make a pile here off to the side, and all of that I am going to use later. That'll be the backfill for my tree. Sometimes when you're digging and you have like a lot of clay or rocks, or some soil that's not that good, really sandy, I will go and get compost or some nice black rich soil from the nursery to use to plant the new tree. So now that trick I was going to show you, I'm going to take my rake here, lay it across the hole, and then go and measure how deep I need to plant by using the shovel and the rake here, put it down. So I'm just about there, a couple more scoops, and should be ready to put the tree in the hole. I'll go take that out, make this out, go around, make a nice flat spot there, because the other thing, you want to make sure your tree's straight. So if you don't have a nice flat surface down here, and I'll get in there, step it down a little, make sure that it's going to be flat for my tree, and going to measure one more time just to be positive we're at the right depth, because that's one of the #1 causes for tree mortality, is when they're planted too deep. And so about 1 inch off, I'll just take a little bit more out, and we'll put it in the hole. All right. So now, when you take the tree out, there are a couple things you want to look for. So they're called stem girdling roots. They're roots that start wrapping themselves around the tree there from being in the container so long. And one way to ensure you don't have those, I can see there are some here. You can use sometimes I'll use a saw and I'll turn the circle here into a square when it's really bad. This one isn't that bad, so I'm just going to use this, kind of go through here, pull some of those roots out, get them so that they're ready to, you know, start growing into the soil around it, into its new home. Kind of break them up. That just helps the roots really find their spot in their new home. So I kind of go around the whole tree doing that. Yeah, there's some bad ones over here, so, you know, just make sure to kind of rip those out, and that also really helps the tree in the long run. Sometimes it can take, you know, 5 years for these trees, after they get planted. You'll pull them out, they'll just be roots going all the way around them, and so you know that was from being in the container too long. All right, now we're going in the hole. All right, that's looking pretty good. And you can see I got my first woody root right here, right level with the surface. And so kind of step that in. And then another important part, you want to make sure your tree's straight. So I go back from both sides. Looks like it's leaning that way a little bit. And so I'll take a scoop, put it in here, kind of pull the tree back, step that down in there, pull it back again. All right, we're straight this way. Now I'm just going to go 90 degrees over here, look from the other side, and we're straight that way too. So that's good. Now that the tree's straight, we can start backfilling. So I'm using this nice rich soil I got here to backfill, and kind of go in a circle all the way around the tree to fill that in. And then periodically, you know, once you get all the way around, kind of take the shovel, get that in there nice and, you know, not super compact, but at least get it worked in there. And then you want to just try and avoid any air pockets in the soil from the dirt being, you know, too loose. When you have air pockets, if the roots run into those, it can kill them, because they can't keep growing if there's just air void in there. Same thing, kind of go around, step it down. And then, yeah, here for this last bit, I'm actually gonna switch to my rake, kind of just rake this back in here. And there are a lot of rocks in here, but that's no problem. The trees actually, you know, they don't like completely rocky soil, but some rocks in there like this is good for them. You know, over time, the minerals and stuff from the rocks, they do break down, and the trees are actually able to use those and take the nutrients and stuff from those rocks and use them themselves to, you know, help them grow. All right, so we're almost there. All right, it's looking pretty good. And final thing here, I'm just gonna, got some water here, so I'm gonna water it quick and see what that does. Sometimes when you water it, it'll help kind of, you know, make the soil a little more even. You'll find any kind of air voids too sometimes, because the water works its way down there and helps, you know, compact the soil more and fill it in. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. I might just take a little more this soil here and pull it in. just make sure that you know, it's all nice and flat, and that's about it. All I really got left, I'm going to mulch, maybe water a little more, and then take off these tags, because eventually, you know, once the trees grow, they can start growing into these, and you know, they can kill the branch. So that'll be the last thing I do. I'd just like to say thanks everyone at home for joining, and hope you have a wonderful Arbor Day.